Can we just talk about how absolutely pathetic it is that WWE let things escalate to the point where Roman Reigns had to literally resurrect the most dangerous version of himself just to deal with Drew McIntyre? And you know what makes my blood boil even more? Half of you in the comments are going to defend Drew like he's some innocent victim in all of this, when he's been the one poking the bear for months. February 1st wasn't just an attack, it was a reckoning. It was Roman Reigns finally saying enough is enough, and if you think bringing Jacob Fatu into this situation was overkill, then you fundamentally don't understand what respect means in professional wrestling. Let's get one thing crystal clear before the Drew McIntyre apologists start flooding the comments. This man has been systematically dismantling Roman's legacy, disrespecting the bloodline, and acting like he single-handedly ended an empire that took years to build. He's been strutting around SmackDown like he owns the place, cutting promos about how Roman's era is over, how the tribal chief is washed up, how the Scottish Warrior is the new alpha male of WWE. And everyone just sat back and let it happen. Everyone acted like this was just good competitive trash talk. But there's a line, and Drew didn't just cross it, he obliterated it. The moment Roman Reigns walked into that meeting with Jacob Fatu, everything changed. You could feel the shift in energy. You could sense that something catastrophic was about to happen. Because Jacob Fatu isn't just another bloodline member. He's the nuclear weapon that you only deploy when diplomacy has completely failed. This is the man who's built his entire reputation on being the most savage, most ruthless, most uncontrollable force in the Anoa'i family. And Roman, in his infinite wisdom, decided it was time to unleash that chaos directly onto Drew McIntyre's smug face. Here's what absolutely kills me about the narrative surrounding this whole situation. People are acting shocked that Roman would resort to these tactics. Like, are you serious right now? Did you forget who this man is? Did you forget the 400-plus day reign where he demolished everyone in his path? Did you forget the mind games, the psychological warfare, the absolute domination? Roman Reigns didn't become the tribal chief by playing nice. He didn't hold that title for over 1,300 days by following some imaginary honor code. He did it by being smarter, more vicious, and more willing to do whatever it takes than anyone else in that locker room. So when Drew McIntyre kept pushing, kept disrespecting, kept acting like Roman was yesterday's news, what exactly did everyone expect to happen? A friendly handshake? A competitive match with a clean finish? No, you get Jacob Fatu. You get violence. You get reminded very quickly why you don't disrespect the bloodline. Now let me ask you something, and I want honest answers in the comments because this is important. Do you genuinely believe Drew McIntyre didn't see this coming? Do you think a man as intelligent and experienced as Drew didn't understand the consequences of his actions? Because I think Drew knew exactly what he was doing. I think Drew wanted this reaction. I think Drew has been intentionally provoking Roman because he knows that an angry Roman Reigns is a reckless Roman Reigns, and a reckless Roman Reigns makes mistakes. But here's where Drew's plan falls apart. Here's where his entire strategy crumbles. He was expecting Roman to come after him alone. He was expecting a one-on-one confrontation where Drew's size and power could potentially give him the advantage. What Drew wasn't expecting was for Roman to show up with the most dangerous man in professional wrestling today. Jacob Fatu's presence completely changed the equation, completely shattered Drew's game plan, and completely exposed him as someone who was way over his head. The attack itself was a masterclass in calculated brutality. This wasn't some wild, out-of-control brawl. This was surgical. This was precise. This was Roman Reigns directing Jacob Fatu like a maestro conducting an orchestra of violence. Every move had purpose. Every strike sent a message. Every moment was designed to not just hurt Drew McIntyre physically, but to destroy him psychologically, to break his spirit, to make him understand that he made a catastrophic error in judgment. Jacob Fatu didn't just attack Drew, he demolished him. We're talking about a level of aggression that we haven't seen on WWE television in years. The hip attack that sent Drew crashing through the equipment crates, the moonsault off the production truck, the multiple super kicks while Roman just stood there watching with that cold, emotionless expression that lets you know he's completely in control of the situation. This wasn't chaos, this was orchestrated destruction. And through it all, Roman never threw a single punch. That's the brilliance of this whole thing. That's what separates Roman Reigns from every other wrestler on the planet. He didn't need to get his hands dirty. He didn't need to prove his physical dominance. He just needed to prove that he still has the power, influence, and family connections to make someone's life absolutely miserable whenever he chooses to do so. Question for the comments. Do you think Roman showing restraint and not personally attacking Drew makes him look stronger or weaker as a character? Because I'm seeing people argue both sides, and I want to know where the SUPLEX Ring Saga family stands on this. Let's talk about what this means for the Bloodline's future, because this isn't just about one attack. This is about rebuilding. This is about Roman Reigns recognizing that the original Bloodline configuration is done, that Jay and Jimmy are doing their own thing, that Solo tried to take over, and that it's time for a new era. Jacob Fatu represents that new era. He represents a bloodline that's hungrier, more violent, and more focused on complete domination than ever before. Think about the possibilities here. Jacob Fatu as Roman's personal enforcer opens up so many storytelling opportunities. You've got potential conflicts with Solo Sikoa, who's going to feel threatened by Jacob's presence. You've got the Usos potentially being forced to pick sides. You've got Paul Heyman inevitably getting involved and adding his unique flavor to the situation. This isn't just a short-term alliance, this is the foundation for the next chapter of the most successful faction in modern WWE history. But back to Drew, because we need to address the elephant in the room. What happens next for him? Because if he comes back from this attack without serious consequences, without visible damage, without a fundamental change in his character, then this whole angle loses all credibility. Drew McIntyre needs to sell the devastation of what Jacob Fatu did to him. He needs to show fear, anger, desperation. He needs to make us believe that he's been permanently affected by this encounter. Here's another question. Should Drew McIntyre seek revenge immediately, or should he take time to heal and plan a more strategic response? Drop your thoughts below, because this could go multiple directions, and I'm curious what you all think would make the best television. The genius of this storyline is that it forces everyone to examine their own biases. If you're a Roman fan, you're probably celebrating this as a justified response to months of disrespect. If you're a Drew fan, you're probably outraged at the unfairness of a 2-on-1 assault. But the reality is that both perspectives are valid within the context of the story, and that's what makes it so compelling. There's no clear right or wrong here. There's just consequences and reactions. Roman's anger leading up to this moment has been building for weeks. You could see it in his body language, in the way he carried himself, in the shortness of his promos. This wasn't a sudden snap. This was a slow burn that finally reached its breaking point. Drew kept adding fuel to the fire, kept assuming he could push Roman indefinitely without any real repercussions. Well, congratulations, Drew. You found out what happens when you push the tribal chief too far. The meeting between Roman and Jacob Fatu must have been intense. Can you imagine that conversation? Roman laying out everything Drew has done, everything Drew represents, everything that needs to happen to restore balance to the situation. And Jacob, being family, being someone who understands the importance of legacy and respect, immediately agreeing to handle the situation. No hesitation, no questions, just pure loyalty and a willingness to inflict as much damage as necessary. What bothers me most about some of the reactions I'm seeing online is this weird double standard. When Stone Cold Steve Austin would bring in allies to attack his enemies, everyone loved it. When DX would gang up on people, it was hilarious and entertaining. When the NWO would beat people down, it was revolutionary. But when Roman Reigns does it, suddenly it's a problem. Suddenly it's bad booking. The hypocrisy is astounding.
Let me throw this out there. Name one top guy in wrestling history who didn't use numbers to their advantage at some point. I'll wait. You can't, because it doesn't exist. Every legendary wrestler has used every tool at their disposal to maintain their position, to protect their legacy, to send messages to their rivals. Roman Reigns is no different, except that people want to hold him to a different standard for reasons that have nothing to do with the actual quality of the storytelling. Jacob Fatu's involvement also raises interesting questions about WWE's roster management. This is a guy who's been tearing it up on the independent scene, building a reputation as one of the most talented big men in the business. His integration to the main roster through this angle is perfect because it immediately establishes him as a major player. He's not starting in the mid-card. He's not working his way up through meaningless feuds. He's debuting as the muscle for the biggest